But first, I wanted to ask, and I think this is an extremely relevant question, but what when we use the word crusade, like what do we mean? Because this could refer to a number of different campaigns, battles, wars, whatever you want to call it, over literal centuries. So, I mean, what do we even mean when we're using this term crusade?
Well, when we use the word crusade, it's not like when Pope Urban made his speech at Clermont in 1095. He's like, all right, we got to do a crusade. No, that's not what happened. A crusade was a pilgrimage. Like the word crusade is kind of like a later term that got foisted back on it. It's not like Pope calls up Richard the Lionheart. It's like, all right, time for the third crusade. No, that didn't happen. It was a pilgrimage, but it was an armed pilgrimage. It's not like go to like the shrine at Covadonga and pay your respects. No. It was an armed pilgrimage. You had to take. That's why a lot of knights went on the first crusade. There was a lot of knights. On the crusades after that, it's kings usually that have their armies and stuff like that. So crusade's a pilgrimage, and the whole idea was to help the Byzantines, and while they're at it, to liberate the Holy Land, which had been taken over by the Turks. The Turks are the reason for the Crusades. They're the new player on the scene in Christendom, because as you know, I'll start from the beginning here. In the 7th century, you see the rise of Islam. And not long after Muhammad's death, they start invading pretty much everywhere. They invade the Holy Land, Syria and Egypt and all of North Africa, then up into Spain. And they go in just as far in the opposite direction. That's not important to us because that isn't Christian land. But there are two battles. Now, they have 100 years of jihad, the Muslims, specifically the Arabs. Then they're stopped by two battles on both fronts, two battles in the east, two in the west. In around 720, they're stopped in Spain, in northern Spain, the Battle of Covadonga. In 732, they're stopped at the Battle of Tours, and they're pushed back into Spain. So they have about 2/3 of Spain, and the Reconquista would slowly reel that back. Now, in the east, they lost two battles, and they are in 718. They lost the siege of Constantinople. The siege of Constantinople was actually, we just celebrated the Assumption of Our Lady. The Muslims retreated on 718, 15th of August, and they dedicated the victory to Our Lady because of that. Then in 730, they lost against the Khazars at the Battle of Ardabil, which is in modern day Iran. So their 100 years of jihad has come to an end. You're going to say something?
No, I was just going to say, like,
Oh, okay. And so, and then after that, the Arabs start to get weak. They've taken a lot of land, so they kind of start to build their civilization now. They start building up libraries, having a lot of intellectual stuff. And slowly, over the next 300 years, the Christians start taking back small amounts of land in Spain, in Sicily, in the Middle East. In fact, in the year 1000, in 1025, the Byzantine Empire is big again. It's They've taken back Antioch. Even they got Antioch back in I think in 979. And they're expanding again. They conquer northern Syria. They're like on the border with modern Israel. They probably would have taken back the Holy Land, but a new player was about to come on the scene. The Turks. And the Turks are camping out in the 1060s. In the 1050s and 60s, they're raiding eastern Anatolia. That's Turkey. Known as modern day Turkey. In the summers of 1068 and 1069, Romanos IV Diogenes goes on these campaigns to fight the Turks off. He's a pretty good commander. In 1070, he was busy in Constantinople, so he sends a general out to go fight them. In 1071, he goes back again to fight the Turks. And although he's a pretty good general, he loses at the Battle of Manzikert. And he's allowed to go back, but he has to surrender some cities, pay a fine. They're gonna make an alliance with the Turks. Their kids are gonna get married, supposedly, to make an alliance. But that basically Romanos is overthrown, and Turks don't get what they want, and so they steamroll over all of Anatolia. But they go down to the Middle East as well, capture the Holy Land. Now, so it's about 1080. They've conquered everything. However, they actually split into two. Like there's infighting, the Turks split into two. There's ones that stay in Anatolia, that's modern day Turkey, and ones that are in like Iraq and Antioch and the Holy Land. So in 1085, go back to the West now. In 1085, who was it? The Christians of Spain in the Reconquista had just made a huge gain. They took back the city of Toledo. So take back Toledo, and then at this time, you have the power of the West is going up, up, up. The power of the East, the Byzantine Empire, is going down, down, down.
Is this kind of like what Bishop Williamson says about the Amish power and the Catholic power? As Catholic power goes up, Amish power goes down. As Amish power, same idea going on. Okay, so now we're in like the area before the First Crusades, after the Muslim invasions. So take us from the Reconquista of Spain to First Crusade.
Okay. Now the Crusade had been thrown around in 1074 by Pope Gregory VII. He had a bit of a different conception of a crusade. He thought he was going to go on crusade, and he would leave Henry IV in charge of the church in Europe. He used to be like best friends with Henry IV. That's what a lot of people don't know. And then it was kind of like Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi, super good friends. And then stuff happened, you know. So in 1095, that goal finally comes to fruition in Clermont, France. Urban II. There's about 5 or 6 accounts of the speech that all exist. I think you can find most of them online by typing them into Google. To go to help the Byzantine Empire, to help Alexius Comnenus. And keep in mind, at this time, the Byzantine Empire is really weak, because not only have the Turks cleaned out all their holdings in the east, but the Normans are attacking their properties in the west. And if you've ever studied history of the Normans, they love invading the Byzantines. Oh, man.
W Normans. Yeah, so the Normans at this time, they were Christian, correct?
Yeah, they were pretty recent. They'd been Christian for about 100 years, maybe 150. The thing that's interesting about the First Crusade, anyway, is it's mainly the Normans and the Turks. Like 4 out of the 5 battles are against the Turks. The Normans had only been Christian about 100 years. The Turks had only been Islamic for about 100 years. So they're fairly new to their faiths. So that's kind of an interesting dynamic that not a lot of people think of. So they call this pilgrimage. You'd wear a cross on you if you had made a vow to go on this pilgrimage, armed pilgrimage, crusade. And basically all of the troops end up at Constantinople, because across the Bosphorus, it's Turkish land. And there are 2 waves of 3 actually, but 2 I'm going to talk about here. 2 waves of the First Crusade. One is the Peasants' Crusade, farmers with pitchforks. They had a lot of zeal, but in terms of and they were the first wave to go into Anatolia, across the Bosphorus. They raided a few forts and stuff, but once they come out, they came against a main Turkish army. That was the end of the Crusade. And then the main wave of the crusade comes, which is like armored knights and lords and stuff, and they do what in fact they found the pile of dead bodies, because as soon as the Turks killed the peasants crusade, they just piled up their bodies there, and the
Game
main
over.
crusaders force came across that and like paid their respects, said prayers for the repose of their soul. So the first thing the Crusaders are going to do is take back the ancient Christian city of Nicaea. People here probably know about the First and Second Council of Nicaea. And so it's an important Christian city, the modern city of Iznik in Turkey. And they go and they free that city, both the Crusaders and the Byzantine troops. And then we got Nicaea back. So then they start to head south. You got to head south now. So they're going across Anatolia, and Kilij Arslan, the Turkish ruler of the Turks in Anatolia, he decides to ambush the Crusaders at the Battle of Derilium. This is 1097. And the Crusaders, although their army was spread thin, they managed to fight off the Turks. And while this is going on, the Byzantine emperor is taking his army, kind of like following behind him, like taking back Turkish land now that the Turkish power has been a bit weakened by the Crusaders. So now they make it down to Antioch. Now this is where things get interesting, because Antioch, it's under a separate Turkish leader. It's not the Sultanate of Rum. It's the main Seljuk Empire. It's huge city, huge walled city. They're trying to assault it. They're not having a lot of luck. They eventually find a Christian in the city to let them in, because although it's under Islamic control, there's still a lot of Christians in the city. They open the door and boom, they finally take the city. Then they get attacked by the Seljuk army, led by, I believe it's Kurbaga. So they go out and they attack Kurbaga's army and rout his army. Then they head south, and at this time, since the Turks have lost a lot of battles, the Fatimids, an Arabic group in Egypt, a Shia, it's an Arab Shia group in Egypt, takes Jerusalem back from the Turks. And there's actually some correspondence between the Arabs and the Crusaders, because they're like, hey, I notice you're in the area. You have an army. The Turks are my enemy too. Let's work together. Anyway.
So is this like some interreligious dialogue type thing going on between between Shias and Catholics against the Turks? So, I mean, I am totally because so just so you guys know, I mean, the Turks were crazy. I mean, they were just writing like sodomitic like pederast love poems, and like the Turks were crazy. So I am totally okay with the Shia Catholic alliance against the Turks. I mean, that's kind of awesome, actually.